Okay, everyone, we have a young rider on the podcast today that has showed some amazing progression over the years. He won the Tour de Suisse, his national championship jersey, as well as many other top results in the 2023 season. Mattias Skjelmose joins us today, Yenzi. Great chat.
Yes, it was a great chat indeed. And to our viewers and listeners, if you have time to Google, he might be in the future not the first rider winning the Tour de Suisse first and ending up winning a Tour de France, like some certain Eddie Merckx, for example, did that before. So there's a lot of potential and talent in him. It was a little bit of a rocky start for us because Mattias misjudged, or his management misjudged the timing. So they thought we are on London time, but we're actually on Paris time, which is an hour later. So I'm still in the shower while our producer calls me, and I'm like half naked, like getting the towel around myself. And hey, what's up? We at the usual time. No, our guest is early. Oh yeah, then I quickly get dressed and run out of the shower to get to our guest. Then we had a little bit of hiccup with the sound. You will enjoy it. The sound might change a little bit, some highs and lows, but it turns better after the first few minutes. So stay tuned. Trust us. It will be absolutely worth listening to this one.
Okay, everyone, welcome Mattias Skjelmose to Bobby and Jens.
Thank you, guys.
Man, thank you so much for coming on. I mean, you have had one heck of a season, and it looks like your season ended with the Maryland Cycling Classic, which I actually got to watch, and then the Canadian races. So what have you been up to since then? And what are you doing right now, actually? I hear there's an interesting time limit we have on the podcast today.
No, I mean, I just been relaxing and just enjoying time at home. No bike, and later this year we'll move to Swiss and just preparing all of these stuff. And then now I had a little bit of panic because your producer is sending time in British summertime, and I'm in European Central Time, so it can be a bit hard. And now I need to pick up a car.
So tell us about this car. I mean, points mean prizes. We know that, but what about car? Is this like a sponsorship, or are you treating yourself to something new?
No, it's just my girlfriend that borrowed it, and I need to pick it up.
Fantastic. And you were just saying that you have time off the bike, right? It's your official off season. How much time then you actually take off the bike, like completely no sport at all? And you're going to use that time for holiday? And where do you want to go?
No, I took 3 weeks off the bike completely, and then just stayed at home. I'm a really big family guy, and finishing up with a big block in the US and Canada really made me tired of traveling. So I'm happy of being home. Also, with me traveling to Swiss and to stay there, it really makes it nice to have some time home for now.
Yeah, there's nothing like the off season. There's nothing like time at home. But I was going to ask this a little bit later. I'm totally proud of you for taking responsibility and going and picking up your girlfriend's car. I mean, we kind of throughout the season we lead such a selfish lifestyle, right? And it's hard to kind of get back home and chill out and deal with the responsibilities that we may have neglected, if you know what I mean, during the season. I mean, you're always training, so you're tired. You're always hangry because you're looking after your diet, right? I used to come home from a hotel, from a trip, and I would leave the dirty towels on the floor. I would leave the toilet seat up. I would forget to put my fork in the dishwasher, and my wife would freak out. So, how is it adjusting back to being at home for these last 3 weeks rather than riding your bike, massage schedule, and having food cooked for you and your laundry folded for you?
No, it's always weird coming back after these days and just entering normal life. But for me, I actually enjoyed it a little bit. Seeing friends and cook a little bit of normal food. Not have to weigh everything and just relax a bit more in the head and feel a little bit normal. Because to be honest, we're not normal people. We're always on the go and never really have a normal life. So for me, it's quite nice to feel normal a little bit.
So, feeling normal, what would be a normal Danish typical meal you want to have in the off season? Something that you cannot have in the season because it's too much calories or too much fat in it or whatever. What's like a typical Danish piece of food you go, oh man, I'm going to have it the first day after the season stops?
I'm a big fan of, I'm not sure what it's called, but it's like a pig sandwich. The ribs of the pig. So you have some really soft meat and then some really crispy part with the fat. And then you have like, I don't know. It's like called a pig sandwich. I think it's direct translated.
Lovely.
I'm yet to try one of those. I don't know if you know because you're so much younger than us, but Jens and I race for a Danish team, CSC, and we got to meet a lot of Danish guys and obviously Danish management, during our time at that squad. And yeah, there was some characters on that team, and remember eating some pretty funky things at our training camps up there in Denmark. But, how much longer do you think you're going to stay off the bike? And, that's always a tricky question, right? And you've been going since, man, I mean, you had a fantastic 2022 season. You started off the season in 2023, winning already in February, and your last win was in September. Is it a set thing that you and your coach talk about, or is it more of a feeling thing when you're just like, okay, I need to get back on the bike now?
No, we had the break early, and that we did on purpose because I actually had both Luxembourg and Paris Tours on the program, but I was already mentally on the limit, and then we chose to stop early, have a 3-week break, because that's what we always do. And then when you start early, you can also focus more on the gym work and stuff like this, really heavy strength work, which is something I've been missing, and I think something could improve my performance quite a lot. So we start already now.
You're already starting for the next season. That's early. Will you then also try to start the season quite early with Argentina or the Tour Down Under, or would you know anything about these plans or not yet?
No, I spoke with Kim, as you both know, and already have more or less my program ready. I will start with Haute Var in France in the middle of February, and try to push in an extra altitude camp in end of January, start February. So I will have a long training block now.
Wow. So tell us and our listeners, when you do take that much time off the bike after a long season, what do you focus on in that first week or two? Are you just being active again, or are you already thinking about your diet, your position, all the things that you think about later on in the season?
No, now the first month is really all about strength work. Not super much many hours on the bike. I will do maximum 3 hours, and then a lot of strength work all the time, especially on the core work. I've been having some back problems that we think is due to a weak core. So I've really been working a lot of this already, and that's the main focus the last couple of days. And also now we will go to the US the 16th of October. So I will not be on the bike again there, but I will still do some strength work.
And since you now have a long time to plan next season, any wind tunnel tests planned or bike fitting, or are you going to look into your TT position, or it's just perfect the way it is, I don't touch it, or you want to improve there as well in the coming months?
No, I did a big bike fit before last season, and I'm really happy with my position for the first time in my career, I think. And then after I flew home from Canada, I went straight to Eindhoven to do wind tunnel testing. So there we had a good 5 hours doing positioning and clothing testing. So we don't have to do it here in December and early in the season. So we are pretty set for next season already.
Wow, you just reminded me of a couple things. Like a lot of guys would go and do wind tunnel testing in the spring. And I was like, wait a second, like these guys aren't at their race weight right now, and we're fitting them to clothing and to bike positions. So hats off to your team, your coaching staff, your advisors for doing it when you're race fit. I mean, when you come back from your North American campaign of racing, obviously you're ready, you're fit. So that's the right time to do that sort of stuff. But another thing I'm interested about in cycling seems to revolve around coffee, right? Coffee shops, coffee shop rides. What is your take on a coffee shop ride? Or, we meet at the coffee shop. It's a place for us to meet, to socialize, to fuel before the ride, to maybe refuel for the second half of the ride. But what is your take? Do you like coffee stop rides, or do you like stopping in the middle of a ride for a coffee and a cake, a Danish, if you will?
I don't drink coffee the first 2 hours after I wake up, but I love to have a stop in the middle of a ride. Just fast, having coffee, maximum 20 minutes. I don't like to have pastries so much. A little bit more in the later in the season, but I like a quick coffee in the middle of the ride. I think it's nice to have just a little bit to look forward to if you have a hard train, or just, you're not motivated. It can always help a little bit to go out and, you have this good stop, and, okay, this place has really good coffee and you're going to enjoy a lot with your friends and stuff. So that's always an extra motivation when you feel bad.
Yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of stopping in the middle of the ride for coffee. I remember Jens and most of our team was all into it, getting the cappuccino, the espresso. But I just felt like if I stopped for very long, especially sitting down, that once I got on the bike again, my legs felt like wood. And back in the CSC days, man, as soon as that coffee shop was open or was done, that coffee stop was done, Yenzi, we were back on the intervals like 2 minutes after that. And man, I stopped stopping for the coffee stops, and I would just ride around the coffee shop when everyone else was in there, because it made me feel so much better. And I remember, Yenzi, what's your take on it? You do remember loving those coffee stops.
Well, I loved them so much that I was okay with the pain afterwards. Yes, my legs felt terrible after that as well, but I was such a coffee junkie, and then we had sometimes these little sandwiches. It was just too good to let it pass. So I rather struggled to the next 10 minutes afterwards. But yes, you're perfectly right, Bobby. You sit down, your body moves into recovery mode. Then you just have caffeine and like this sandwich with ham and cheese on it. And then you go, and then Bjarne is on the radio. Hey, boys, let's go and get a medium going. Yeah, I know. But Mattias, you don't stop for that long anymore, don't you?
No, I mean, it's really depending on what the guys want. But for me, I like maximum 15, 20 minutes. Go in, order the coffee, drink it, enjoying it, not just throw it down, but going again fast. Like Bobby saying, I don't like to stop for so long. And then, you have a weird feeling in the body. And also, I have to say, like, preparing big goals, I don't like to stop. Only on really short rides where you have nothing to do. Like if you're in altitude camps, it's quite nice to go down to a coffee shop and do something different. But like going full gas and having a stop on hard trainings towards big goals is not the best thing for me.
Well, I know that you mentioned that you're going to be moving to Switzerland. Is that correct?
It is.
Okay, but. Okay, again, we were on a Danish team before, and training in Denmark in the winter is not the easiest thing. Let's face it. I mean, the weather is kind of cold, it's kind of wet. For some reason, there's a real flinty sort of substance that's on the roads. So if one of our listeners or viewers goes training in Denmark, what are some of the tips to stay on the road and not have flat tires and ride in a group?
Go in a small group so you can always turn. Have mud guards, really good quality mud guards, especially in the front and the back. And then, just good clothing. It will really save you a lot of times. And yeah, for me, I started using, I'm not sure what it's called, but it's like a hard plastic material that you put inside between the tire and the tube. And it's like an extra layer of protection. It's not feeling super good to ride with, but you're happy when you don't have the punctures.
That makes perfect sense. Hey, actually, where are you born in Denmark? Because there's lots of different parts and islands and north and south and middle and bridges. So where are you born? And was it easy to pick up cycling at your little neighborhood?
I'm born in Copenhagen. Copenhagen is quite big, but I'm born in Copenhagen. And then since I was 5, I live on not a small island, but like the island where the airport is placed. Where it's like 1/3 of the island is a national park. So there's no cars allowed. So for there, it was really easy to start riding. I don't have to think about cars. And the local cycle club was really easy to get into, really open. And it was quite easy to get into cycling.
You're from Copenhagen, right? Here's a little bit of interesting but absolutely useless piece of information for our viewers. In Copenhagen, there's a tower, a large tower built by the king, for the king, and it doesn't have stairs. It has like a ramp because the bloody king was too lazy to walk up there. So instead of having stairs, he had a ramp. He could ride his horse up there to look over his country. Is that true?
It's true. They actually had a time trial up there for old pros a couple of years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
This is what it was like, Mattias, having Jensi as a roommate for so long. Like he'd all of a sudden just like put his little Game Boy down and turn and look at me and give me like some really interesting tidbit of knowledge that I probably will never use or never think of again. But now this one is documented on the podcast. But so if it's so easy to get into cycling in Denmark, let's face it, everywhere you look now, there is a Danish nationality rider winning the races or very, very close to the races, both in the men's and women's peloton. There's a difference between getting on the bike and then getting to the level that riders like yourself, Mads Pedersen, Casper, Jonas, the list goes on and on and on and on. What are you guys doing different, or what does the Danish upbringing kind of instill in you guys to be so successful all of a sudden?
I don't know, to be honest. I asked this question so many times, and only thing I can see is that everybody grow up racing each other, and then one guy starts to perform, and then the next guy is like, oh fuck, I beat him when we was younger, and then I can also beat him now, and then it continued like this, and then the first guy again, oh fuck, I beat him the last week, and also as kids, and now I'm gonna beat him again, and then we push each other all the time, and I think we're just really competitive, and that makes it also fun, because the more Danish guys in front, it makes it more fun to us.
Actually, I heard something like that before from other Danish riders. To me, it seems that you Danish guys, you like to win, but you like even better to win in front of another Danish rider. Is that correct?
Yes, that's 100% true. In Denmark, we have this called the law of Jante, where it's like the first law is that you should not think you're better than anybody else. And, it's a stupid thing, but, we always want to perform better. We always want to be the best Danish guy. And even for top 10, we want to fight for it always. So it's just the competitive gene that we always want to do good.
But I mean, that's great, and I think that my generation of some American cyclists, we had that same thing. But I've heard from different people that we've had on our podcasts, like Jakob Fuglsang, Michael Valgren, guys like that you guys actually have like a text thread or like a group chat, amongst some Danish guys where you're actually encouraging each other. I mean, that goes a long way, because, okay, you guys live in Scandinavia, which is like right there in Europe, right? I mean, you don't have to travel that far if things go, tits up and you're kind of depressed and whatnot. But cycling is full of ups and downs. I mean, one day you're on top of the mountain, the next time you're on the bottom of the crap heap, right? How do you deal with those ups and downs throughout a season? And do you lean on anybody in particular when things aren't going super good?
Yeah, I mean, I have my coach now since I was 17, and we got a really close relationship. He's almost like a father to me, or he is like a father to me, and I always talk with him when I have problems. He always teach me stuff, tell me to stay calm. And what we just learned from this is, like, every time I have a really big down, I always improve a lot of my performance. So even though it's really shit to have this down, we know, okay, we made a mistake. We look what the mistake was, we change it, and then we perform better next time.
So you're in daily contact with your coach, or you send him a mail once a week with all your power files from the workouts you did, or is it like a daily contact almost?
No, like 90% of our contact is just friendly contact. Like, how was your day? How's the family? Send pictures when we are riding, and it's 5 degrees here, and how warm it is in Spain. 30 degrees. I wish I was there. Something like this. Just what friends would talk about.
Well, you guys are doing something right, because in 2021 you were ranked 154th in the world. In 2022 you were ranked 42nd, and as of now, currently, you're ranked 12th in the world. That to me is a definition of progression. How much further do you think that you can go here? I mean, top 12 in the world at 23 ain't too shabby, my friend.
No, I mean, we are happy where we are, but we still know we can improve a lot of stuff. So that's make me motivated that I can do better. I still see some one-day races where I can do better, especially the Ardennes. I did top 10, but only in the last part of the top 10. Also the Canadian races. I think we can do better there, fight for the win. And, just in general, we found out that I could lose 3 kilos and still perform really good. And, we still have things in training we can improve. So we are quite confident that I still can take a couple of other steps.
So then, where do you see yourself? I mean, you did some really good results in one-day races. You did really good in stage races, shorter ones. Where do you want to go? You think you want to specialize on hard races like Giro Lombardia and the Ardennes Classics, or maybe Paris-Nice, all these races?
No, I mean, me and my coach dream since with the beginning was we will do or want to do a Tour de France podium, and that's the way I want to go. And both me, my coach, and Kim believes that we can combine the Ardennes and a Grand Tour GC. So that's what we are searching for and what we're working towards.
Well, two of my favorite riders of all time, Greg Van Avermaet, who has been on the podcast before, and Mickey Shar, recently announced their retirement. And I heard something today that I've heard Greg say often, and I kind of agree with him. He said, sleep well, train well, eat well, and enjoy what you're doing, but don't think too much. What do you think about that philosophy?
No, 100%. I mean, it can have a lot of meanings, but what I struggle with a lot is overthinking things I cannot change. And I think what I'm trying to work towards is that if you can change it, then don't have a worry, because it's not gonna do anything good. And then if it will be good again, it's gonna be good again. And if it's gonna be bad, it's gonna be bad. You cannot do anything, so just focus on yourself and let whatever happen.
Bobby, that reminds me so much on the soldier, B.S. Christensen, when he always used to say, hey, guys, we have what we have. Stop complaining about things we don't have. We have what we have, and we got to work the best way with what we have. And he also said, don't waste energy trying to control the uncontrollable things, like the weather. We have no influence on it. So stop worrying about it. Focus, just like you said, focus on the things they are in your hands. So you're on the right way, my friend. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, at 23, I'm blown away. Obviously, the sport is transitioned, much different than when we were racing. But just to hear what you're saying, yeah, you're going to go far. You're going to go far. Keep it simple, stupid. That's another one that I've, over the years have kind of thought about and said, man, why did I focus on that one thing out of 100 that was wrong when I had 99 things going right? But Stephen de Jonge, when he came on our podcast, he actually said during the Maryland Cycling Classic that trip to North America, that he sat down and said, hey, you're going in the right direction right now. Don't try to change too much. But it sounds like you're willing to make some changes. You just said you started core work. There's other things that you and your coach are going to factor in. So are you kind of experimenting one by one, or are you going to try everything at once and see what works this off season?
No. We always stick with what's working, and then change a small thing every year. We want something to build on every year. Of course, you cannot continue with this all the time, but for the next couple of years, we have small things that we still can change, or not change, but put extra to the training. And it's nice to have this in mind, because then you can still take another step when you have a bad day or a bad result. You always know you can still improve at some point, but you need to save a little bit, because we are afraid that I can burn out too soon. So that's why we want to take it a little bit easy.
Makes perfect sense. You're still only 23 years old. I wasn't even pro. I was still amateur. And I think at 23, my wife just told me that she's pregnant for the first time. But I was far away from being a bike professional. But just out of interest, earlier you said you lost 3 kilos and you could still perform well. These 3 kilos, that's quite, you're already a skinny athlete. Was it all muscle mass, or you lost fat? And what was your fat percentage, if you're allowed to share that with us, going into the tour or coming out of the Tour de France? I'm curious about how that works in these days.
No, we have a scale with the doctors, and it is a little bit higher than a lot of other teams. I don't know why, but in that scale, I was.
That's what you all say.
No, I was at 8%, and that's what a tour leader should be at in this scale. And I think in a lot of other teams, you should probably be a little below 6 or something like this. But I lost like 3% of fat, and I think I lost some muscle. I cannot say, but I still had a really good kick, but it's mainly fat. Kim has this his own fat measurement when you come to the stomach like this. And
he's still doing that. He did that to us as well. That is so cool.
Then, the first time in the tour, he came to my stomach and like, oh, you look good.
Oh my God, you just gave me PTSD. That started with Bjarne. That started with Bjarne, so
but
Kim
it's
must have
nice
picked up on
when you're
that.
skinny.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's just talk through your 2023 season, because you said after the North American races you were a little bit mentally burned out. But let's just go through it. So you started off. You must have had a very good winter of training, because you started off winning a stage in a 12 de Bessèges and finishing second overall. You had a lot of, let's say, very consistent results between there and Flèche Wallonne, where you were second to Tadej Pogacar. Our listeners and viewers may know him as well. And then you had some strong results in the remaining Ardennes races. And then you go have a little bit of a time off, and then you go and you win the Tour of Switzerland, holding off Juan Ayuso and Remco Evenepoel in the final time trial. What was that experience like? I mean, winning the Tour de Suisse, I would put up there right underneath winning one of the 3 Grand Tours as far as I'm concerned. But talk us through that spring buildup, ending with winning the Tour de Suisse. Most people stop their season or, don't think of going to the Tour, but you went to the Tour and then kept going after that. No wonder why you're tired. But talk us a little bit through that whole period, and especially the Tour de Suisse win.
No, after the Ardennes, I took 1 week completely off the bike, and then went straight 16 days to altitude, and then went down for 1 week, 5 days with Kim doing recon for the Tour, home 2 days, then back 18 days to altitude, then down 2 days before Swiss, doing recon on Col de la Loze with Kim, and then directly to Swiss. So it was basically training camp all the time. And yeah, I mean, we did some good testing before Swiss, and I told my coach, I think it's only Remco that could beat me. And when we came there, it was true. I mean, I felt incredible. Of course, there was some circumstances doing it a little bit special race with Gino Stead. But yeah, it's a special race for me. It's the first time I really do good, and I actually never did top 10 in a 1 week stage race before. And to win Tour de Suisse just before the Tour was quite incredible.
So listening to you, you basically told the team or the coach, if things go bad, I be second. If they go good, I win. So you knew from the start that out of training and the values you had in the training, that you be good enough to be podium in Tour de Suisse.
I mean, of course, you never know how the other guys is, but I was there 3 kilos lighter than the Ardennes, pushing more watts, straight out of the altitude. And, the other guys coming there were having it as a goal, but not preparing for the Tour. So they would probably not be the same low weight, not coming from altitude. So I was confident, yes.
But to do those training camps, to win the Tour de Suisse, you didn't stop there. You went to the Danish National Time Trial Championship and got second behind Kasper Asgreen, and then you won your national championship road race. Then you get selected for the Tour. Were you always selected for the Tour, or did that just amazing run of form propel you into the team?
No, it was always the plan since October last year to do the Tour. But of course, a lot of things changed with me performing so good right before the Tour. So that made it a little bit more special.
After Tour de Suisse, I mean, that was probably the highlight of your career until then, right? The biggest, most spectacular win. And I mean, you did beat some good riders there, right?
Yeah.
Going into the Tour, were you nervous how that is going to go? Or you went, let's stick to the plan. I try maybe to win a stage. I'm not looking into the GC. Or did you have a little voice in your head going, hey, try the GC. Maybe you can run a top 10. How was that?
No, the plan was from the beginning I should do the GC. And of course, with the crash on stage 5, it ruined it a little bit. But I was quick to change my mind and working for a stage. That didn't happen. But I was quite satisfied with my performance. I feel I was a big part of Mass' win on stage 8, and an even bigger part of Chico's KOM jersey. So I'm quite happy with my first tour. But I was really surprised how mentally hard it was.
Yeah, the mental side of this sport goes underestimated or under contexted, I guess, because all year you're just struggling. But what did you feel after you won the Maryland Cycling Classic and came back from North America? What is the definition, and what did you feel of being mentally fatigued? Because I think so many athletes don't listen to themselves and then keep trying to, get the last drop of blood out of the turnip. But it seemed like so what do you feel? What was that alarm bell going off in your head where you were just like, Kim, I need to stop the season a little bit earlier and not do Luxembourg and the other races that you mentioned?
When I started in Montreal, it was pissing rain. I was starting to find excuses for not to start, saying I felt bad and these kind of stuff. And like in the middle of the race, I was like, fuck, I'm not sure if I can do this. So I put the team to pull because I was feeling good in the legs, but the head was completely off. And I know when the team starts to work for me, I have a really good motivation to perform good. So I put the team to pull to do a good performance in the end. And then when I arrived home, the only thing that motivated to go on the bike was to have a coffee stop. And, going 1 hour, having 2-hour coffee stop, I was like, okay, it's time to stop now.
It's a wise and sensible decision, instead of like squeezing everything out and your mind goes, I don't want to do this anymore. It's like, okay, I can feel the signs. That's a nice and a reasonable decision. And Bobby, would we have the guts to tell our coaches and the team at 23 years old, look, listen, time out. I can't do this anymore. I don't think at 23 I would have been man enough to face the team and tell him, hey, look, I can't do this anymore. But I guess it works better these modern days, right?
Well, I wasn't ranked 12th overall in the world at 23. So I think that
exactly
has something to do with like, hey, let's keep them happy sort of thing. But Mattias, do you want to have a 10, 15-year career? I see so much of the movement in cycling right now are young kids, your age or, right around your age, even younger sometimes. When we became pro, it was like, I'm going to be pro for 15 years. Some were pro for 20 years. But it seems like now that longevity doesn't need to happen. So I'm curious, is that something that you want, a long career, or do you want to be as successful as you can right now and then just let the chips fall where they may when you get a little bit older?
No, I want a long career. It sounds stupid, but I like going on altitude camps and working towards a goal, being alone on a mountain, just see the progression every day. Of course, if one point I'm start being competitive and you don't see any progression anymore, or you see a decrease in performance, I will consider my career. But I hope that will only be in 12, 15 years.
So when you say you like going to training camps and you have like, let's say a good 5, maybe 6 hour bike ride, right? 6 hour bike ride, that still leaves 18 hours of the day left. What do you do in these 18 hours in an altitude training camp? Read books, learn another language, or you bring your girlfriend with you, or how do you spend time with them? I mean, there's some core work, I guess. You check your bike, do some stretching and all that. And how's the cooking? Do you cook for yourself? Somebody weigh the food for you and cook it for you? How does the day look up there on where you go in Lanzarote, Tide or whatever that's called?
No, actually, before Swiss, I went to Andorra. I had my best friend with me, and a soigneur. So we could use time quite good. Train together, be together after. Then you use 1 hour to shower, cook the lunch. Then you rest a little bit, have a snack again, then massage, and then after massage you probably start cooking again. In the evening you play a little bit of games, and then to bed, and then you sleep 8-9 hours as well. So that's what I'm doing. I mean, I like doing nothing.
Oh, don't you remember those days, Yenzi? Eat, sleep,
I
train.
do.
I mean, 10 hours of sleep, wake up, ride your bike. I don't know how we used to get anything done like yard work and change the nappies for the kids and whatnot. But so what do you concentrate on? Because there's so many people that are talking about going to these altitude camps. If you can share, like, not the details, but what is your main goal when you go to an altitude camp? And actually, why do you go up to altitude?
No, I go to altitude to improve my blood values and lose weight. Especially now when I live in Denmark, also to do climbing efforts or long climbing efforts. But yeah, that's the main reason. It's always a little bit easier to lose weight in altitude. Of course, you have the blood gains, and that's the big reason. I have no big scientific idea where I go, but I just follow my coach advice.
And do you have then you have the scale there, right? So you
Yes.
try to stay on the same weight, or you try to go down a little bit every day, or you have a goal, I'm be here for 18 days and I'm gonna lose 1 or 2 or 3 kilos, like a steady progression, or how's that gonna work for you?
No, before Swiss, I was working with my nutritionist, so I didn't eat anything I hadn't weighed before. And we had an idea before the tour I should be on 62 kilos. On the Ardennes, I was at 65. So we just saw a small decrease in weight all the time. Actually, it was more like in altitude, I lost a little bit. But when I arrived home from altitude, that's where the weight was gone. I can explain if you gain a little bit of water in altitude or something like this, but it was only when I arrived home from these camps or down to sea level, I saw the real gains.
Wow. I don't well, I never weighed my food, and I know Jens didn't weigh his food.
Not
I
at
couldn't
all.
even keep up with how much he used to eat. It was that crazy. But what is the trick to losing weight at altitude? Because obviously you have to eat well the night before. You have to eat well prior to the training. You have to fuel during the training, which is, I think, the biggest mistake of our generation was we never fueled, or we didn't fuel enough for the training. So we had what I now refer to as wasted training minutes, unfueled, wasted training minutes. So when you get back, obviously you need to replenish your glycogen stores for the next day because you're up there for 2-3 weeks. Where is there room to cut weight? Or is it just that overall volume of training that you're doing, which is allowing you to lose that weight?
No, I mean, on big days, we don't focus on being in calorie deficit. But, it's the red days, a little bit easier day, where you can adjust a little bit, and it doesn't mean so much to be a little bit in deficit. That's where you make the difference for me. And, when I do this, I have like 4 meals a day. And when you have 4 meals a day, plus the one you eat or what you eat on the bike, it's quite okay. Then you eat, dense food, but with low calorie. So like low calorie yogurt, high protein stuff, not so many carbs, not too much fat. and that's actually keeps me quite full all day without thinking I'm in deficit.
Seems like it works well. I think, Bobby, from listening to the younger kids, how they train and eat, I think difference between our times and now is we had a super large breakfast, overloaded. Then we had not enough in the first 1 or 2 hours of the races, and then had a super massive dinner again. I think what they do these days is smaller brekkie, but then just keep eating small portions, keep the entire like sugar and intake level constant. And we went like big brekkie, nothing for 2 hours, and I think that's the difference. They eat probably the same calories like we did, but in a smarter way, I guess. Would that make sense, Matthias?
Yes, 100%. I think the biggest difference from when you guys were pro and now is that we eat so much on the bike. I can have 7 hours and I will be eating close to 900 grams of carbs.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, we never went even close and not even half of it, I guess, Bobby,
Yeah.
right?
So, you're having 7 hours eating between 120 and 130 grams an hour. Just pure carbs going in. And when you eat so much, it's impossible to get a hunger flat.
Well, you hit it right on the head. I mean, you got to have the fuel availability if you're going to be burning it. And that's why I believe that the generation of current cyclists like yourself are giving us such amazing racing, such exciting racing. Like, you're not seeing these bad days. What happened to Remco Evenepoel in the Vuelta this year was like an anomaly. That was like that used to happen 10, 15, 20 years ago, but you don't see that anymore. But let's talk about Lidl Trek for next year. You guys went to the woodshed as far as new recruits. So you got Simone Consoni from Cofidis, Patrick Conrad from Bora Hansgrohe, Andrea Baggioli from Soudal Quickstep, Theo Gegenhardt from Ineos, Jonathan Milan from Bahrain Victorious. I always mispronounce that. Fabio Fellini from Astana, Ryan Gibbons from UAE, Carlos Verona, and then just today, Tim de Klerk from Soudal Quickstep. I mean, leadership is going to be paramount here. And you obviously have taken up a big responsibility of leadership in your team. How is it going to be having all your teammates that you had this year that re-signed, and then these 10 new guys coming into the team? What's your leadership philosophy, and how much do you think that's going to fall on your shoulders?
I hope a lot. I'm not good at showing leadership. I've improved a lot the last 2 years, especially listening a lot to Mads Pedersen. And I hope I get a lot of responsibility. I want to show the new guys how we do it here. Show that I'm a good leader, somebody they can trust, somebody is worth putting their own performance above or below my performance to have the best team result. And, just respect them. If they have a better day and it makes more sense to go for them, also give them the shot, help them. I think that's the biggest thing you can do as a leader, to give others when you can perform yourself.
Very wise words. Looks like the team spirit is going the right way there as well. You're going to have the chance to meet all the new team members and old team members in one place, or because some are Australians, New Zealand, and living all over the world, basically. Are you guys planning with Lidl Trek to have like a central camp where everybody is there?
Yes, we will go to the US on Monday with both the men's team and the women's team. So, and then also a lot of staff there. So we will be, more than 60 guys there from the team.
Wow.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Getting that many kids rounded up into one place must be quite the logistical challenge. But you mentioned that Kim Anderson has already kind of given you your schedule for next year. So have you had time to digest that and think about your goals? I mean, where are we going to see Mattias Skjelmose next year just really cranking it out? What do you want to accomplish next year?
I want to do a really good Ardennes week. I want to really improve my result in Liège, especially. I will have a crack at Dauphiné, then hopefully Olympics, and having a big goal in Vuelta and the Worlds after.
So I don't know if you picked up on this, Jenzi. I didn't hear the Tour de France in there. I heard Dauphiné, I heard the Olympics, I heard the Vuelta. So when are we going to see you? Is this again, very, very smart decision, but at the same time, is that going to be something on your bucket list maybe in 2025 then?
That's the reason why I'm doing Vuelta this year. Kim came with his master plan to do a GC in Vuelta, to have a GC before going all in for the Tour next year.
Apparently, from what I have seen as in my time as a commentator on Eurosport or before with NBC, a lot of young talents or aspiring GC riders take the Vuelta as the first step. There's none of them is easy. Don't get me wrong,
no.
Right? But apparently, the Vuelta is the easiest or the best way to start. I have seen it a few times. Would that be the reason for you to pick that race as well?
Yes, as you say, Jens, none of them is easy, and maybe even course-wise, the Vuelta can be the hardest one. With a lot of mountain stages, but also the easiest one mentally. It's a lot with the easy mentality and not so much stress, as especially the Tour can be. So that's why, we want to have a good GC before we really give it a crack at the Tour.
Sounds like Kim is still Kim. I mean, he's one of my favorite DSs of all time. I have to give a shout out. I mean, this year has been fantastic as an American and seeing a lot of young Americans perform, punch well above their weight. But I need to give a shout out to my boy, Riley Sheehan, who just won Paris Tours. And that gives me as an American another American rider to look at. But I want to know what new young Danish talent is on the horizon. Is there any new young wonderkin from Denmark that may be giving you competition for the Tour de France podium in the coming years?
I don't know about the Tour de France podium, but you have Albert Philipsen, who was junior world champ at 16 years of age, and Worlds. The Danish hotel was visited by 9 World Tour teams. So I think he's a really attractive guy for a lot of teams.
Now, when you talk about GC aspirations and so on, do you or Kim Andersen have a master plan to tackle that other Danish rider? That has already 2 yellows. What's the plan to take him on, because he looks pretty damn strong?
Yes.
Any plans for that?
Hopefully, Jonas is going for Giro Vuelta some years, and then we're gonna be ready for the Tour. No, I mean, Jonas is doing really good, and maybe one day I can be just as good as him. But for now, he's far away, and hopefully with age he will also decline in performance, but it's hard to see right now. So right now we hope he will not start.
Well, you got a good head on your shoulders. We wish you all the best of luck next year with your current program and moving on into the future. Mattias, it's been an honor to have you on the podcast. We hope when you do get on that Tour de France podium, you'll come back and, remember old Bobby and Jens. But thank you again for finding the time. Now go and pick up your girlfriend's car and keep that home life nice and happy.
Thank you, guys. And thank you for having me again.
Well, that's all our time for this week. Huge thanks to Matthias for being our guest.
The show is a Velo production in association with Shocked Giraffe. This episode was produced and edited by Mark Payne.
And please remember to check out the video version of this podcast by heading to the Outside Watch YouTube channel.
Mattias told us he was super confident going into the Tour de Suisse this year. What's the most confident you've ever been, and were you right? Get in touch with us on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Facebook. Just head to @BobbyandJens and let us know.